Namaskar. We would like to welcome you all in Independent Research Ethics Society's AYUSH Samriddhi International Webinar Series at milestone of 2262 in these 5 years. We are really overwhelmed with your great support, mentorship, and support inspiration to continue this journey. So we have completed 880 webinars in last 365 days, and we have achieved the height of 2262 webinars in 5 years. I am really overwhelmed by the gracious presence of Mr. Ed Rosenthal. Fortunately, Mr. Sanket Jain has introduced me, so I am thankful to Sanket Jain ji and Mr. Ed Rosenthal. We are really grateful to you, sir. American horticulturist, cannabis activist and advocate, educator, author and publisher, medical cannabis innovator from California, USA. Welcome, sir. Welcome on the platform. First time, and it is really the coincidence that we are starting this series every week series on cannabis from today in New Year, from Monday, the day of Lord Shiva. So, in your experience, really, by your experience, really, we will be learning too much in regular webinars also. I would like to communicate my sincere thanks to co-host Mr. Sachin Avasthi. He is real activist here for cannabis, founder VijayA Parsad, activist for VijayA Hemp Cannabis. He belongs to MP and works in Uttarakhand. I would like to welcome Mr. Sanket Jain, cannabis activist. Industrial hemp is the farmer self-help group which he belongs to from Dehradun. Mr. Bhavik Shah, he is also cannabis activist. Indigenous cannabis reforms and sustainable livelihoods from Kullu, from the north. Mr. Manoj Naik, he is also from Mumbai. Manoj Naik ji, he is also interested in cannabis. So without wasting much time, I would like to request, now this webinar is for 2 hours. I have not arranged any webinar after this. Otherwise, we are conducting 3 webinars per day, 1 hours each. So I would like to request Sir Ed Rosenthal to guide us regarding health, hemp, international conspiracy, and other facts also as he like.
Well,
This is the inaugural lecture. Welcome, sir.
so it's a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate you having me here. I think that cannabis is a very important topic in India. And first of all, I would like to say that I do not want to legalize cannabis. I want to re-legalize it. For 3,000 years, cannabis was legal in India, and it's only for 39 years that it's been illegal. There is absolutely no reason for it to be illegal. And the reason why India made it was illegal was because it was compelled to when the country had only 13 years of independence. And then the country asked for a 25-year extension before the laws would be enforced. Well, here's the thing. The reason why they said 25 years is because all of the ministers who were involved in that in the government at that time knew that in 25 years they would no longer be there, so that there couldn't be recrimination against them. And then the other thing is they thought that in 25 years the world would come to its senses and the whole world would legalize it. Well, it didn't happen. But countries like Germany, Canada, Uruguay, and many other countries in South America and in Europe have legalized it. So the convention, the single convention on narcotics and dangerous drugs is no longer in effect as far as cannabis is concerned. So many countries have, quote, violated, unquote, that uh, that stricture that it no longer has any power. So the decision is India's alone whether to legalize cannabis or not. Now, I've written a paper which I am going to distribute about some of the reasons why India should legalize it, but I want to bring up the most important one, that anybody who wants to purchase or use cannabis in India can do it and can find somebody to sell it to them. So the laws are 100% ineffective. And having an ineffective law that people find contemptible lowers people's idea of justice in the country. So it's essential to reaffirm that cannabis should be not legalized, re-legalized. The country's had 3,000 years of experience with legalization, with a legal subject, and 39 years of colonialism as far as cannabis was concerned. You remember that even the British Commission on Cannabis in the 19th century or early 20th century, even they said it should be legal and taxed. So these laws are totally arbitrary. They don't work. They're against justice, and they're against the people of India. And I am going to distribute an essay that I wrote about it, which goes into many more reasons for it. But that's the first reason, that there is no reason to have a cannabis law if you can't enforce it. And over the last 39 years, the Indian government has proven that it cannot enforce the cannabis laws. I could go out, I'm in Delhi right now, and I could go out onto the street and probably within 15 or 20 minutes, I could purchase cannabis. And I'm in Sakit. I'm in a good district, so it's not as if I'm in some unusual place. But right here, there are people who are willing to sell it. So why have a law that you can't enforce? And I'd be happy to take any questions that people have about that. So so I wanted to show you a book that I wrote. Let's see if we can get it up there. Yeah. Can you see the name of the book? It's Cannabis. It's Ganja
Yes,
in India.
yes,
Yes.
yes, sir.
So this book, what I photographed this 43 years ago when cannabis was still legal in India. And
Yeah,
I was in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and in
Madhya
They had many fields, um, perhaps hundreds of hectares that were, here's an example, perhaps hundreds of hectares of cannabis, and it was all under government regulation. And I'll show you a picture of the government regulators. They all came from Bhopal for the they all came to Bhopal for the harvest. And those were excise people, people from the Department of Agriculture, from the state militia that was to protect the cannabis. I'll give you an example of the cannabis uh, coming from the field to be harvested, to the this is the harvested cannabis coming to be prepared. And you see those two men with uh, rifles? Those are from the local military to protect the cannabis. So as I said, there's a long history, a 3,000-year history, and also a religious history of cannabis use. And with all of that, there is absolutely no reason for the government to restrict it. Does anybody have any questions that I'd be happy to answer?
Just a basic question, sir. How we can regularize this in India?
Well, I think
Because
that the first,
to your
what,
side,
well,
you are kind.
I'm sorry. From my experience in the United States and what happened in the United States and also in other countries such as Switzerland and Germany, the first step was medical use. And medical use is very important because there are many diseases and symptoms that cannabis is the best medicine for. And I'll give you one specific one, which is very serious, and that is uh, pediatric uh, seizures. And uh, there are no drugs that um, uh, prescription drugs from pharmaceutical companies that have been able to control those seizures. And the only method of controlling is with a combination of CBD and THC. So that's one example. But there are many, many diseases, and you could look up on Google Scholar, or there are a number of books on how to treat various diseases with it. And I think that's the first and most important step. And what happens is when you have medical cannabis, people get familiarized with the product. They know they'll have friends and relatives who use it medically and see that they don't go crazy. And so their attitude will change. It's not something that happens overnight, but uh, in Cal in California, the people had an initiative, and the first initiative that was successful was for medical cannabis. And I think that that's very important, very important. Now, I disagree with most opponents of medical cannabis who on most issues, but one issue we did agree on, that medical cannabis is a transitional step to full legalization because it familiarizes the entire population with cannabis, shows that it is not a harmful product, and in fact is a very good product. So I'm just going to briefly mention a few other things. With cannabis, with illegal cannabis, there is there's corruption. There's always corruption. Here, take some rupees not to bother me, so on and so forth. And then uh, and then the quality of the marijuana of the cannabis in India is very poor because of the regulations that it has to be picked before maturity. And because it's picked before maturity, people can't get the full uh, entourage of the marijuana chemistry, which helps patients. So it has to be taken out of the hands of the police and the Justice Department and put into the hands of the medical authorities, the Department of Agriculture, and the Excise Department. So let's talk about the excise laws. So from the time of the British Commission, there were excise taxes on cannabis, and that helped and those taxes are sort of voluntary taxes. You don't pay them unless you're buying the product. So so up until 1985, cannabis was profit making for the government. It paid for the excise people, the agriculture people, all those people, literally hundreds of people who were working in this industry just in this one spot in Kandwa, Madhya Pradesh. So it paid their salaries. They had a better source of income because of it, and that all evaporated and went into the illicit market with the legalization. Now, there are so many other reasons why cannabis should be legalized, and rather than go through them verbally with you, going to have provisions at this essay that I wrote specifically about re-legalization in India, so that you'll be able to see it at more length. And once again, I suggest we not call it legalization at all, but it's re-legalization because it always was legal. The only
Yes.
reason it was illegal was because of Western colonialism in as India was becoming independent. So why should this country of 1.5 billion people bow to a law that the West doesn't even recognize anymore?
Definitely, I would like to have your guidance in future also. I am conducting my PhD in the age of this 63 years. I am a professor of Rasastra and head of the department in Mansarovar Global University and doing my PhD from Parul University, Baroda. It is my very shocking stage that even after mentioning Vijaya or cannabis or hemp, whatever you can say, in our Ayurvedic text as miraculous medicine for pain, anxiety, as you have written in your medical marijuana also. That is very right. But unfortunately, after just imposing NDPS, narcotics and drugs prevention rule, Ayurvedic doctors are now indirectly devoured to prescribe these Vijaya cannabis products. In that NDPS Act, there is no mention of leaves, seeds, stems, and roots. So we can use freely leaves, seeds, stems, and roots, except this ganja, except this inflorescence and the exudate charas on that. So these two things are included only in NDPS Act. But the enforcement authorities are harassing Ayurvedic doctors to use this. Unfortunately, we don't have any contradictory remarks. So I decided to re-establish Vijaya, this cannabis, into my Ayurveda, and this is my mission. And the same mission is with our Sachin Avasti also. He has started a concept of Vishwa Vijaya person. I would like to request you to guide as patron of that. I would like to request you because that will be international association on Vijaya for Vijaya experts. In uh, future, we would like to uh, promote that. So this is the situation in India. Unfortunately, now new variety hemp products are in picture. Before 10 years, hemp was not there because everybody was feared. So one way is out here. So I would like to discuss with you, sir. I would like to request you to guide us on these points because all I am conducting research on Vijaya extract and Vijaya Grat. Grat means ghee in
Well,
our India.
Well, first, let me explain that the way that ganja is harvested now before it's ripe and then prepared for concentrates and such, that uh, would you eat an unripe banana? Would you eat an unripe banana?
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't.
I mean,
And
I'm able on the
here's the
pardon.
thing, is that when cannabis, the way cannabis is picked now, it does not have the full entourage of all of the chemistry that it should have. And the material that is harvested now in the West would be considered trash. It would be thrown away because it does not have the full chemistry that cannabis should have. And one of the first things is to change the regulations so that cannabis is harvested when the buds are ripe, not when they're half ripe, because the cannabis, when it's unripe, does not have the chemistry that is used for medical uses. That's the first thing. And let's take it. The first thing is that it shouldn't be for the police or the Justice Department to decide when cannabis is picked. This is something for the Department of Agriculture and for the Excise Department. And we have to take the police out of the equation. That is, they should enforce the law. They should not make decisions on what the law is or the regulations. That's up to knowledgeable people. Look, I wouldn't go to a doctor to have somebody arrested, and I wouldn't go to a cop to get medicine. And cops playing like they're the medical gatekeepers, it's just wrong, and the only reason they want to do it is for the corruption. And there's not one. I would say I don't want to go into percentages of cops who are corrupt, but you know that corruption is all over the place as far as cannabis is concerned. And that's because the police know that cannabis is benign. So if they take a bribe for it, it's not harming society. And so they want
Right.
to keep it, so they want to keep it illegal. One of the first things, take it out of the police. This is a medical and an agricultural and an excise uh, and tax issue. But the police should have nothing to do with creating policy. Now,
Very right.
I want to mention something. I'm leaving India next week for a little while, but I plan to be back in September, and I want to help with the legalization effort. And I said it wrong. And let's all say it: re-legalization. Let's all say it:
Yes.
re-legalization. Say it. Let's say it:
Yeah,
re-legalization.
re-legalization.
Right? It
Definitely.
was legal for 3,000 years. It's only 39 years that we haven't experienced legalization in India. And so, for that reason, I think that it's very important that the Indian public realize also that this is a religious thing. And I um, uh, I have a great appreciation for Lord Shiva, and the way that cannabis is disrespected, it's disrespectful of Lord Shiva. He would not use the material that's being offered to the Indian people. You know what he would say? This is trash. I want some real cannabis.
Great, sir. Great, sir. I will be in touch with you, sir. I will be in touch with you, and please join every week one webinar only for regulation of VijayA in here.
Yes, and I would like to help um, form a organization all over India called uh, 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 RLI, Re-Legalize India.
Right, sir. Now,
And
is with you.
and I want to mention one other thing, that in the United States, you know, the United States government still has not legalized it. But we have a state system, much like what India has, where there are individual states. So, like, maybe we can't do Tamil Nadu right now, but we should be able to do uh, uh, Himachal Pradesh,
Right, sir.
you
Can
know,
I,
and Assam and Sikkim. And also, there's another important point that I want to bring up, that India has unique varieties of cannabis that have unique genetics that are not on the world market. And if India does not protect those genetics, they'll float out of India
Very
for
right, sir.
other profit. And in order to protect that IP, that intellectual property, that is the genetics of Indian cannabis, it has to be legalized so that villagers and especially, in the northern areas, which is where cannabis originated, around Sikkim, Massa, all those northern areas, that those areas are protected from the exploitation of capital of cannabis capitalists from outside the country. And you're not going to be able to protect that. And you're not going to be able to work with farmers and the villagers, which has to be done to protect that IP, unless, at least statewide, it's legalized. So that farmers have some protection if they work with the Department of Agriculture and the Excise Department. And that's something that can't wait. I'm serious about this. You see what happened in Morocco and in Jamaica and even in Colombia. And before the cannabis capitalist exploiters come to India, which they have done in some areas,
Right, sir.
perhaps Rishikesh and other areas, before that happens, there has to be a set of laws in place that can be enforced to protect that intellectual property that is India's patrimony. That it's India's property, and it shouldn't just float out of the country by somebody buying a few seeds.
Right, sir.
And that's important to do because they're looking around. You already have some in Himachal Pradesh, and other places, and that has to be protected. You can't have that going on. India is going to lose too many billions of dollars if it lets that happen. So there are so many reasons. We can't go into all of them now. I would be happy to be on help with this program. I can't promise I'll be on every week, but I will be on frequently and we'll arrange it beforehand. And I appreciate your inviting me to that. And so I have this dream that we start publicizing re-legalized cannabis in India. And
Right.
our first convention on April 20th, 2026.
So we will be conducting this series of webinar on different topics related to cannabis. As I am conducting research, pharmaceutical research, analytical research, pharmacodynamics means this logical research, social research, and the utility of VijayA in other way also. So I am conducting PhD on the subject to make a comprehensive uh, reference book on cannabis, medical cannabis, and I would like to have your blessings and would like to request you to help me in my mission.
Uh,
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Certainly, but I want to tell you that there are already many books to help you write your book. There are already many books on medical cannabis, and there's been, they will tell you, oh, there's no research on it. That is just not true. You could go on Google Scholar and see thousands and thousands of papers on it, and and both the chemistry and its effect on the human body has been studied by many scientists. There's a scientific organization that you could look up, International Cannabinoid Research Society. And that society is a society of scientists. It's been around for 30 years, and it produces hundreds of papers every year on the effect on cannabinoids, cannabis, and the human body. So this big there's this big pool of knowledge. So don't let the authorities try and say, oh, we have to do more research or anything. And also, one other thing, so let's say somebody doesn't get wants to buy cannabis, but can't get it. They might then choose to use alcohol. Is that
Very
a,
right, sir.
is that a better choice? Is that what you want? You want people to have alcohol, get violent, become, they say marijuana makes you insane. No, alcohol makes you temporarily insane. You lose your senses with that. And so it would be much better for the health of the country, many fewer accidents, much less violence, if people were given the choice of cannabis of good cannabis rather than alcohol. And so that's another important reason why we have to go there.
Very right, sir. Very right.
So can I ask a question? Sorry to interrupt. I'm Manoj here. So I'm Manoj here. Can I ask a question to Dr. Rosenthal, Ed Rosenthal?
Yes, definitely we will be conducting series on this. Today only one question will be permitted.
Okay.
You can ask.
Okay.
Otherwise, as per our pattern,
Right.
after speakers we. But
let him make the question. What's the question?
Yeah. In 1961, both America and India banned the use of cannabis in the Narcotics Convention. So how come America has been able to legalize and India has not been making any progress?
Well, the United States government has not legalized. The states have legalized.
Some states, right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Some states have legalized, and the federal government has chosen not to enforce the laws very much
those states.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how, and I think the same thing could happen in India. I think Himachal Pradesh could be ready to do that.
Right.
Also the states of Assam and other northern states where cannabis is, it's part of the lifestyle.
Right.
That would be the first states that I try to do it in. And here's the thing: the first one's the hardest one.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for the answers.
Nobody wants to be first.
Right.
But I think also that we should consider that our first efforts should be towards the medical uses and making it legal for sick people to be able to use marijuana as medicine or cannabis medicine. And that's number one, because, you have, I'll go through what I think is the most serious one again, which is pediatric seizures, where there is no other medicine that will help these poor kids who suffer. They could suffer 10 seizures a day and 5 seizures a day. And using THC and CBD, first the number of seizures go down, and then the kids start living seizure-free. What could be more? It makes me cry just thinking of it. What could be more emotional than that? What could be more heartbreaking than that? But it's good for old people. It's good for people who have all kinds of pains, aches, and other conditions. So I would say that by making it
on every aspect in our next webinar. We will be discussing specifically to the point on every aspect of the cannabis, how we can regularize, how we can request the government to permit us for this medical cannabis. This is our mission. Please bless us. Please guide me for PhD project.
Sir, can we give our introduction?
Definitely.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you for this webinar. It is very helpful to all the peoples to understand the problem in the better way. So we are as a farmer working in this, and I share some of the documents in the chat box. You can download all the documents and have a look on that. There is one report we submit to the government, that is a evergreen technology report. And in that report, we give a proposal to the Uttarakhand state government that over the next 5 years, the company is supporting partnership investing approximately 100 million USD to allocation the development license for industrial hemp. So this is the investment. So, but unfortunately, there is some COVID type of uh, pandemic at that time, so it is unable to get done. So I share that reports and all that. So might be you all the peoples can have download this and have understand this and make this happen in the state soon, and the government can make the laws, amend the laws that are in the favor of the medicinal hemp. So that is our request as a farmer to the government and to the active activists that are involved in this hemp. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to say one other thing. I know I'm coming from outside the country, and obviously, I've had different life experience, some different life experiences, but I want to tell you that I feel at home in India, that I feel it's my second country, and
You're good. Welcome.
that my plan has been, and it's been very successful, to come for this 3-week exploratory tour. And I did not, and I've met incredible people, Saurabh Agarwal and many other people who are involved in this. And my thought on it is, and my goal is to come back in September, because I'm particularly interested in the land races here and working with, excuse me, what's his name? The scientist?
Abhishek.
And working with Abhishek up in Sikkim and Assam
His
and
colleague is online.
what?
His Abhishek colleague is
Oh,
online.
okay. And working with him in, throughout throughout or during some of his work. And so what I would, and also to work on helping the many activists in this country get more organized. And, if I can be a little spark in it, and help the people, all the people that I've met here are very competent, and it's just it's hard to keep knocking your head against a wall, and maybe there are ways of taking that wall down. So I'm planning to come back in September, and I'm not going to have a ticket back when I come.
Sir, also, my name is Bhavik.
My wife just said, "Is that a threat?"
Sir, also, my name is Bhavik. I would like to invite you to the region where I am based in. I'm not sure if you would have been back in the time when you were back in India in Parvati Valley. But I mean, this is the place where the most infamous Malana and the whole belt about cannabis it goes from.
Well, I call him Abby because I'm so bad at names, but I'm going to follow him where he travels this fall, as well as doing a lot of activist work. But as I said, my goal is that we have a national meeting. I don't know exactly where, but a national meeting, April 20th, 420 is a special holiday for cannabis all over the world. It started in California when high school kids used to say, "I'll meet you back at the school at 420." And that became a symbol for cannabis. And so on 420, I hope that we have this big all India meeting of cannabis activists and start organize. It gives us a year to organize, to get people to the meeting. It doesn't have to be a big meeting, but as soon as the government sees it, they'll know that times are changing. So I'll be here in September. In fact, the travel agency gave me a free ticket to come back. It's true. So with my wife, that I'm threatening her now that she's coming back too. So I have a friend of yours here. Come here.
Hello.
Namaskar.
Yeah, Vivek. Hi, Vivek. We were just texting each other, and he was like, "Oh, you're the only person I can recognize," and I'm like, "You're with him, sitting next to him. That's crazy."
Let him know.
Yeah. So is there one person that we can send this essay to who will distribute it to everybody? Can we send it to you and will you distribute it to everybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
that works.
That works? Okay. So, okay, let's do that. You know,
Yes.
so you'll get it sometime tomorrow. And
Right.
Thanks, Vivek, for your support.
it's
Thank you.
it's not a long essay. It's only a few pages, but it outlines many of the reasons why. And I didn't want to go too detailed about it because once I mention them, you'll have your own thoughts about it. But it's a start. And I'm so happy that you invited me to this. I feel so honored to be part of this. I don't want to cry here. But the US only has 350 million people. And you just had a religious event that had 400 million people. And so um, to help 1.5 billion people, that's an honor. That's truly an honor. And it's a goal. Let's make it legal before I die. Make an old man happy.
Absolutely, sir. And I mean, we've learned everything about cannabis from your books, and that is where the whole journey has begun. So it's really an honor to be with you on this journey too.
And in September, I promise to bring many of these books, and we hope to get in this, and we also hope to get an Indian publisher to show what it could be like if it were legal.
We'll
When it
get you a publishing deal. So I was
only
trying
be,
to buy it from
what?
your site, but you couldn't ship it to India. But we'll get you a publishing deal.
It's not really available through the site right now, but between now and September, we're going to work on that. And basically, I'd like to get it published in India so that it will be much, much less expensive and that people all over the country will be able to see what it was like, and it will be an expanded version of this book. So yes, I hope I'm hoping that I can help in this effort. It's such an honor for you to have me with. I keep saying that, but it's true. It's such an honor for you to have me as part of the team here.
Absolutely.
Now I would like to request Sachin Awasthi ji. Sachin Awasthi ji has well coordinated the thing. Mr. Sachin Awasthi, am I audible to you?
Stay Sachin ji.
Thank you, Pawan ji. Thank you very much. Actually, actually, I am very weak in English. So, in the webinar, when his English is prominent, I am afraid from it. So, मैं ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं कह सकता. But I have a question. If India has knowledge of cannabis from the last 5 years, it is proven by the science. If we know cannabis is a medicine, then why US and UN put this plant in 1961 conventions basket.
Why did they do
It
it?
is not it is not a chemical drug. It's not a synthetic drug. Why UN put it in 1961 convention?
Oh, well, it was prohibited in the United States beginning in the early 20th century, and the reason was totally racial. It was a way that they could, blacks in the United States used it a lot, and so did Mexican Americans, and so it was a way of harassing them. And also Bohemian people, pe artists, creators, the creative entertainment types. It was a way of controlling them, and it had nothing to do with whether cannabis was good or bad or harmful or not harmful. It was, oh, we can arrest these people, control these people, and it's no different than in India here, where if you're a poor person, you're much more likely to be harassed for cannabis than if you're smoking it in your home in the suburbs. And that's why it was. It had nothing to do with its harmfulness. I mean, think of the other drugs that are in the single convention: cocaine, the opiate, heroin and other opiates, and other drugs that can kill people. And marijuana just doesn't do that. So it should be in a totally different category. But the the reason why it all started was racial reasons. Does that help does that help answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, actually, because of this act, plenty of people got capital punishment. Plenty of people in the last 60 years in
Well,
India, there is a rule. Plenty of people are in jail. America leave those people in plenty of states, but we can't. We have a for medicine and all the things related to cannabis, means recreational purposes and traditional rituals. What are the pressures which are working from US to impose us on that type of rules which are not our traditions, which breaks our tradition, which knowledge? Why that type of rules are coming from west to north to east? I I think
okay, well, it's like this. The single convention on
the
narcotics and
FDA rules obey the Commonwealth rules. Why? Are we a sovereign country?
well, here's what I think is that as far as cannabis is concerned, the single convention on narcotics and dangerous drugs has been violated by so many countries that is no longer operative. And India should, if Canada can do it, if Mexico can do it, Colombia can do it, Germany, and other countries in Europe, if all these countries can do, Thailand right next door to you, if all these countries can make marijuana legal in spite of the single convention, certainly India with 1.5 billion people can do the same thing. And just, and the United States, I don't want to talk about the change in government regime, but the United States cannot enforce this any longer. It's over. The single convention is no longer operative as far as cannabis is concerned. So, government officials who give that as a reason for not legalizing it, they're just plain wrong.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anybody would like to add
You
anything?
know what I would like to do? I think that I've said enough tonight, but here's what I am going to send you the essay, and I'm not going to be available until late April because I'm be traveling again, but I will attend the next meeting that I can, and by that time, my essay, which by the way, I will say this, that the essay that I wrote is not copyrighted. You can use it and spread it and broadcast it in any way that you like. Newspapers can use it, whatever. It's for the world. It's not for profit. And so that might give you, it's not about how to do it, but it will give you many of the reasons why it should be done, why re-legalization should happen. I have to keep stopping myself from saying legalization because let's all say it, it's re-legalization. And but this meeting is everything that I hoped for and more from my visit to India. I can't believe this is happening. It's so good. And everybody on this call is very brave to do it, to stand out against the government like this, but it must be done. And we're a great group of people, especially you people. I don't know about myself, but but everybody in this meeting is dedicated.
All credit goes to Mr. Pawan.
Yeah.
All credit goes to Mr. Pawan Sharma.
So I'm going to sign off if that's okay, and we will meet again in late April. Is that okay? Or I'll stick around if there are any other questions that people might have.
Right, you are free to join every week, sir. We would like to request you. And for my PhD project, definitely I will be troubling you and requesting you again and again for scientific researches. I will be conducting minimum 6 or 8 types of researches on cannabis. Please guide me there. Anybody would like to add anything? Bhavik welcome. What is your opinion about international conspiracy?
Could you, what are you?
Bhavik
Thank you, Dr. Pawan sir, for inviting me on this. And I will give you a short introduction that my name is Bhavik. I'm working from Parvati Valley on indigenous cannabis races. I'm the only person in the country who has three of the most significant villages in the history of cannabis in India, namely Malana and two other villages, to have signed to form a cooperative society because I see that as a right way to um re-legalize cannabis and do it with everyone together, the farmers who are the core, who are the people growing the medicine in the first place. And the conspiracy of cannabis, I feel, I don't know where the 0.3% THC came from. I think from 1976 from Dr. Ernest Small, I guess.
No, no,
He
no.
defined.
It came from a fellow by the name of Marche, who was growing hemp in France. And he was
Uh-huh.
trying to develop a monoecious hemp. That is one that hermaphrodite. He was never successful, but he developed this cannabis that only had 0.3% THC, and the hemp in Hungary had 0.6%, and he got everybody to grow with 0.3%. So he was the only one with 0.3% hemp, and all of the hemp that was grown in Hungary, which was a big hemp producing country, was now illegal. That's why it happened. Small was crazy. I mean, Small was crazy, but he wasn't the guy who did it. It was this guy Marshall. I wrote about it in a book called Hemp Today, and that book was written so long ago. Today it should be called Hemp Yesterday. So, but I covered that. I went to visit his fields in southern France. Yes, so that's
But
how it.
then that is one term that the government, the West, the East, everyone has chosen to stick with and put a label to uh, get the gray area into the cannabis, which should not be a gray area in the first place. So, and similarly, the condition of India that we have today is we are making medicine out of the leaves. We are leaving the inflorescence, which has 80% of the plant's cannabinoids. We are not talking about the symbiotic effect of the cannabinoids of the terpenes. We are not talking about the land races. So everything is very fragmented, and the main problem with the leaves medicine is also that the leaves are harvested from the wild. So we do not know that what kind of pests do they have, what kind of funguses do they have, what kind of problems do the raw materials come with. So this is the battle that the West and the East is fighting, and I feel uh, we don't really need to do a bat compare it with the West versus East. We can just lead new research based on all the information that we have as of today and all the land races that we have that we can still preserve as of today until it's too late. And that is what I feel about, like, the steps that we need to take about cannabis in India and across the globe.
Well, I feel one of the things that you said is extremely important, which is preserving the land races. And let me explain that you're not going to preserve the land races in the field for this reason. Let's say you were a farmer and somebody said, well, you can grow these land races or you can grow a product that's much more potent. Which would you choose as a farmer? You would choose a more potent product because you'll get more money for it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll answer the question. Okay, so it's not a question of preserving the land races in the field, but preserving the land races in a scientific seed library of seed and tissue culture library of many of the land races. So we have that genetics as a resource to to create other cannabis varieties. But don't expect the land races, the farmers to stay with land races. They're going to go with the cannabis that brings them the most profit. And to be honest, um, most people, including probably yourself, would enjoy some of the Western varieties that have been bred by breeders who were able to do it more than the land races. But that does not mean that the land races don't contain valuable intellectual property, that the genetics. So those should be used. They shouldn't be thrown away. They should be preserved. And that's one of the important things that has to happen very quickly, because
So let's say, for example, I've also in your books, where we specified different types of plants, like a sativa and indica, and different types of leaf structure, stem structure, height of the plant, and everything. So there was this one type of plant that I came across in this village of Malana, where the leaves were at least 2.5 feet, like this size, one leaf.
yeah.
And so that you would typically describe it as an indica plant, right?
Well, you know what, I will tell you, you see, this is kind of nerdy, but I'll try to. So, I haven't visited a lot of feral plants here, but what I think happens is that cannabis wants to have a lot of variety even within a single population. So if you go to a feral field, you'll find wide leaf, small leaf, tall plants, bushy plants, single stem plants, and it wants all of that genetics into one population so that if it's rainy one year, this plant will do good. If it's sunny one year, this plant will do good, and so on. So that even when we say, oh, this is an indica population or this is sativa, it's real, from what I've seen, it,
The
it
geographic location, I feel, and the weather in that location and the altitude that also affects.
Yeah, and so I think that all along the Northern Plateau, you're going to have a lot of variation, and even within a single population. And then you go to look at one population, and it has one mix, and you go a kilometer away, and it's a different mix and of genes. And
Yeah.
so it's a complex situation. And what cannabis wants to do is the exact opposite of what a farmer wants to do, because a farmer wants uniformity. It wants all the plants to be the same. And cannabis, because cannabis is a wind pollinated plant, and it's a dioecious plant. That it means it has separate male and female plants, and 95% of the seed plant varieties of all seed plants are uh, monoecious, which means that they have male and female on the same plant. Like, for instance, um, uh, if you look at a lily, it will have the same flower will have the male organs and the female organs. And with cannabis, since it's separate and since it's I could go into the genetics here in a big way, but needless to say, that whole idea of indica is one place and sativa, it's not quite. It's
So
it's
cross-pollinated.
there's more subtlety than making blatant statements. This, that, there's a lot of subtlety in it, and you know, and
And
because
and the plant was not just like the leaf structure was at least 2 feet, and the plant was roughly about 25 to 30 feet tall in height.
so
So
yeah, you know what? Well, I want to go visit those plants. I don't know if I'll have the strength to do it, but I'll certainly like to try. And uh, as I said, I have both the scientific reason for research here, and then, gee, it would really be great to help make cannabis legal here. Just
yeah,
uh, uh, you know, it's a burden and it's an opportunity. That's
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. So here we are, and we're going to do it. And I say, let's do it before the next decade. Let's get it done. And
Yeah,
state by state. I mean, some states, there might be, more opposition to it. But it's a shame that in Delhi, people can't buy a bong ball,
Yeah.
not even a bong ball in Delhi. We had to go to another, what's the city? We had to go to NIDA, and it was a government, I guess, government controlled or government run or something. The place was dirty. Like they're selling products that people are going to eat from it was dirty. The store was
Yeah,
dirty.
there's absolutely no quality control.
It's, the, sto- they should have been given a health summons. The place was so dirty. My friend said, "Are you going to try this?" I said, "I'm not going to eat this. Who knows how it was made?"
Yeah.
And it just shouldn't be like that. That shows disrespect for people. When you give them a dirty product to consume, it shows disrespect, and that should not happen. And
Yeah.
that if I was the health department here, I would have closed that place as soon as I saw it. I mean, you know, so
Absolutely.
people could get E. coli from a place like that, and hundreds of people could get sick from it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not something to also be laughed on, but it's uh, become a norm in India to people coughing, throwing garbage on the street with the pollution. And I mean, I live in the mountains in the last 5 years, but before that, I lived in the cities, so I can compare that life. But even right now in the cities, it has become a normal for the even in Delhi is the most city in the world. So I mean, um
I
the
understand.
condition.
I understand the pollution. I can look at the sky and see the pollution here, but there's no reason to make it more polluted by having an unsanitary. I I eat in restaurants here all the time. You know, I'm a tourist, so, so I eat in restaurants all the time, and I don't get
Yeah,
sick because those restaurants. I mean, we just went to what's in it? What's the chain?
Haldiram's.
What?
The opposite one. Yeah. Haldiram's. Yeah.
Haldiums, and had
yeah,
an inexpensive meal, and that was it had cleanliness, it was
yeah,
clean. People were respected. They were given clean food that wasn't contaminated. There's no reason to, I mean, it should be illegal probably is illegal to provide contaminated food.
yeah,
And when I saw how that bung, what it looked like, what it was, the the dish that it was prepared in or lying in, and everything else about it, boy, eat that? No, not me. So I
yeah,
just want, and I know that, tourists have tourist stomach and all that, but nobody should be subject to that. That's
yeah,
why
hygiene
that's
first.
why that's why restaurants all over this country have been cleaned up substantially and over the years. And uh, you know,
It needs a lot of work.
you know, I wasn't afraid to go eat in an inexpensive restaurant tonight. Because everything was cleanly.
Don't fall sick. Yeah,
And and that is somewhat of a change over the 40-year period that I've been here. There's been a substantial change in what people expect, except with cannabis, and we have to change that.
yeah, absolutely.
So, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been inspiring.
Excellent, sir. We are really grateful to have you on the platform.
Yes.
We have 6,000 subscribers on YouTube in 5 years from 40 countries. So please bless us on every week. We would like to have your expert comments with other speakers also. Please bless us.
Well,
You-
I'm not one
Up to
to bless. You know, you are all blessed. You are all blessed. You are on we are all on a righteous journey to right the wrong that's been done to India.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You are
You're blessed to
really,
have.
yes, he is the legend. So we are
Sir, he is the
blessed.
legend. Thank you very much for his time and support.
Sanket ji,
And thank you,
Sanket
Vivek.
ji,
Too.
And
Sanket ji.
and thank you for having me. It was such an honor for you to have me with it on this meeting. Thank you.
Manoj Nayak ji,
Same
Manoj
here,
Nayak.
same here. We are. It's our pleasure and your regards that you give your time for us.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Manoj Nayak ji, Mr. Manoj Nayak, he is marketing
Yes, sir.
expert.
Yes, sir. Pawanji, namaste. Thank you
Namaste.
for the pleasure. This was fantastic, Dr. Rosenthal. Really.
I'm not a doctor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm not a doctor,
Ed
so
Rosenthal.
I don't want people to think of me.
Okay.
If I were a doctor, I'd write you a prescription right now.
Okay, I beg your pardon. So it was a great pleasure listening to you, sir.
Yeah.
Have a good journey and hope to see you again.
Yeah, you'll see me in September.
Will do, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, now it's definite because my travel agency gave me a ticket back.
Yes, I can guarantee that. I was witnessing that. He really got a free ticket.
Sure,
Bro, you gotta come to Parvati with sir.
Well,
Yes,
we have time to arrange it because when I come back, it won't be with a return ticket for a while.
Yes, I
Yeah, and
share
it'll be
some of the documents
also.
like fiber collections and orders that are from the state government of Uttarakhand. That orders can help you in Himachal Pradesh to show this order to the Himachal Pradesh state government. Like this, they can give the permissions for the collection of the hemp fiber and all that from the forest area.
Well, going to work with Ayushi and get the do our search for different cannabis varieties. And I wanted to mention why it's so important. Cannabis originated in the Himalayan foothills, maybe just a little bit east of India, but the closer you are to the point of origin, the more diversity that there is.
Yes, I also share a report of the Uttarakhand state government that why people are migration from the villages to the cities. What are the basic cause and why there is less rural development and what are the schemes and programs that are from the state government and what is the current status of the schemes and rural development department. Uttarakhand decentralized watershed development projects. Current status of schemes and programs of Panchayat Department, cooperatives, case studies, analysis, and recommendations, impact assessment of some rural development schemes, constitution of the expert groups. So these some of the good books, PDFs I share. You please go through them. It can help you to understand the state in the better way. How the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Empowerment Guarantee Act, MNREGA, can help the people's day, and there are many more in this. You please go through that. I shared like 8 to 10 PDF files.
Oh, I will.
All are in English language. It can help you to understand and have an idea of the Uttarakhand state in a better way.
Yes, I will study between now and September, and but I think that India is such an intellectual country, and there are so many researchers, scientists, botanists, and other people here that I feel overwhelmed by the knowledge that people here have. And I'm just a student of cannabis. You know, so, but we'll get this together. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
As the cannabis are in the blood of all the Indians, is the cannabis is in our DNA. So
Hello.
it's our duty to work and
It
in
might
this and
it might
flourish the.
it might be in your DNA, but it's in my blood all the time.
Yes, great.
Absolutely, it always
Nice.
should be.
So
Yeah.
we're all in this together.
We have two great ocean of knowledge, Professor Lakshmikant Dwivedi sir and Professor Vaidya Parulji from lady gynecologist. She was the principal of Ayurvedic college in 3 colleges, and then the deputy director of AYUSH in government of Gujarat. Would you like to add anything, madam? Professor Dwivedi sir and madam Professor Parul madam. Whoever would
I
like.
was trying to understand
Yes.
how we can promote hemp as medicine, because I know it's very vital as far as its anesthetic value is concerned. It has too many medicinal properties, and I cannot understand why our government is so reluctant in giving us the consent for using it as medicine. So your lecture has been very, very helpful and a very guiding lecture. Please continue, sir. Have a nice time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your kind words. And it will be medicine soon here.
Your confidence helps us.
Sir,
Okay,
also I think we should stop calling it hemp and only call it cannabis or medical cannabis
that's right. Or ganja.
or ganja, as it is. Yeah.
Yes, and
Ganja is clearly defined in NDPS, so we can't say it ganja. Ganja means
So we call it VijayA. We call it VijayA because VijayA was what is mentioned in our Ayurveda also. So that or the Hindi word for it is VijayA, but the English word I think we can stick to cannabis instead of hemp.
yes.
I agree with you, and I don't think that you know these are policy decisions, but you know when we think of hemp, we don't think of anything that is psychotropic that affects you know how the mind works, and I think that we should separate um, uh, um, hemp that is used industrially from I don't think we should separate it
Medical
from
use.
cannabis, but I
Sir,
think
but both
separation
like
of the two products though, of somehow.
sir, but can't we can't hemp and cannabis come from the same plant? Like medical use and the fiber plant extraction, all of that can come from the same.
It's not going to happen that way.
Okay.
What's going to happen primarily is people are either going to grow it for its
If it's growing in the wild, or if let's say a region or a village that has been uh, heirloom, let's say the village of Malana has been growing for thousands of years, the way they have been growing in the wild, and their plants grow, they give let's say medicinal properties too, as well as the industrial properties. So
well,
can that?
well, what I'm thinking of is, you know, when I think of hemp, I usually think of an industrial product that is either the herd or the fiber, and not
Mhm.
and not not the bud. And the thing is that I know that the villagers have been doing it one way, um, but if the villagers had access to more modern varieties, they'd give up the hemp part of it. They'd only grow bud.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and the hemp would be a different product. It would be a more industrialized product, with being sown with tractors, being harvested, in a more industrial way. And I think that that's a substantially different product. And I'm not talking about in the village right now in the villages, but I'm talking about as it gets more commercial,
Large scale.
that it's going to be separated.
Got it.
Yeah, and in fact, in the United States now, there's difficulties between hemp farmers and cannabis farmers because the cannabis farmers don't want the hemp farmers having flowering hemp at the time that they're trying to grow their buds.
Oh.
Think
So,
about that.
sir, in your experience, in your personal experience with trying any of the hemp flowers, have you experienced the psychoactive effects?
You mean when harvesting?
No, when using it or consuming it, let's say in one or the other way, if you
Asking the hemp flower,
The
CBD oil.
CBD does not get you high. It doesn't
not
have a psychological. I take CBD for medical reasons, and it has no psychoactive effect.
ah, interesting.
My wife says it could be relaxing, but it doesn't. It's not like it doesn't get you high. You know, I I sm- I I smoked and I took, but I couldn't get high. That's CBD.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's separate. And growing CBD, you would use a different plant than if you were growing for fiber.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the end use definitely that is how you decide to grow the plant in what way or
Well,
the choose.
the if the plant is just allowed to grow to maturity, um, a psychoactive plant is allowed to grow to maturity. You don't have to do anything. It knows how to do it. You know,
Yeah.
you know, cannabis has been around for 10 million years, and
Yeah.
except for the last few thousand years, it didn't have any help from humans.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it is a wonderful plant. So, I'm glad we're all a team working on this. Yes.
Yep.
So,
Respected Professor Dwivedi sir, would you like to add anything?
get ready. I'm going to be back in September, and
Yep.
we're all going to work together, and we're going to make this legal.
नमस्कार पवन जी, ये
नमस्कार।
चर्चा तो
Andre-
बहुत अच्छी रोचक है, किंतु इसमें हम लोग भांग के लिए विजया के लिए तो बात कर रहे हैं, किंतु गांजा के लिए बात करने में डरना चाहते हैं। क्यों? मेरा तो इतना ही कहना है कि गांजा के भी कुछ फॉर्मुलेशन शेड्यूल्ड बुक में हैं, और कौन सी कंपनी बनाती है नहीं बनाती ये एक अलग बात है, किंतु गुणकर्म उपयोग तो फ्लावर्स का भी है। थैंक यू।
Okay, well, thank you. And now I'm going to say good night. Is that okay? Any more
Good night.
questions? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
See you, Vivek.
सचिन जी आप कुछ बोलेंगे? सचिन जी, अब हमारी हिंदी वार्ता शुरू हो जाए। आदरणीय सचिन अवस्थी जी सो गए?
एक सेकंड, आई आवाज आई
आई
सर,
आई
आवाज आई।
आप
पवन
किस
जी
इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस की बात कर रहे थे?
एक सेकंड पवन जी, एक सेकंड, मुझे लगता है मेरा ब्लूटूथ गड़बड़ हो गया है। चालू है
आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ, बंद हो गया था। अब आएगा।
जी पवन जी, अब आवाज आ रही है?
हम्म।
हाँ हाँ, मैं ये कह रहा था, ये गांजे वाली जो बात है बिल्कुल सही है सर। गांजा असली में सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हमको समझ में आता है कि परिभाषाओं का खेल ये लोग खेलते हैं, ये गलत है। ये यूएन की परिभाषाएं हैं। गांजा और भांग में सिर्फ ये अंतर है कि एक जगह पत्तियों का समुच्चय इकट्ठा हो जाता है, उसको हम गांजा, अलग अलग होती है, वहां वो भांग हो जाती है। दोनों में सेम प्रॉपर्टी होती है, एक पे कम एक पे ज्यादा, और कोई फर्क नहीं। तो अगर हम बात करें कि पोटेंसी की, तो पोटेंसी गांजा की जाती है। पर अगर हम बात करते हैं प्रॉपर्टीज की, तो दोनों की बराबर, दोनों में बराबर चीजें हैं, मतलब एक ही तरह के कैनाबिनॉइड्स मिलते हैं, क्वांटिटी में अंतर। तो ऐसे ही इनने सटीवा और इंडिका का एक विषय बनाया है, अभी भाविक बोल रहा था। उस जो इनके स्टैंडर्ड्स बने हैं, जो इनकी परिभाषाएं बनी है, उन परिभाषाओं में हमारी पहाड़ की भांग कहीं एडजस्ट होती ही नहीं, इसलिए हम इसको विजया कहते हैं। और ऐसे बहुत सारे मिथ्स हैं जो गढ़े गए हैं, जो टूट गए हैं। और जैसे जैसे हम लोग ध्यान देते हैं चीजों पे, जैसे जैसे हम अपनी अ, पुराने ज्ञान को पे गर्व करना शुरू करते हैं, ये सारे मिथ जो वेस्ट में गढ़े हैं वो टूटते हैं। इनको तोड़ना बहुत जरूरी है। हम इस चक्कर में आ जाते हैं कि वहां से सिस्टम चालू है और उससे अच्छा पैसा बना, जबकि पैसा हमारा नहीं बनता, पैसा उनका ही बनता। अभी यूएस एफडीए ने एक सिस्टम, एक सिंथेटिक सीबीडी को अनुमति दी। साफ लिखते हैं कि वो लीवर खराब कर, हम नेचुरल सीबीडी एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं टोटल, जो हमारा रॉ मटेरियल होता है उससे, रॉ कैनबिस एक्सट्रैक्ट से, पर हम करते नहीं। हमको वो सिंथेटिक ना, सिंथेटिक के साथ प्रॉब्लम ये है कि सिंथेटिक अगर एफडीए ने अप्रूव कर दिया तो वो एलोपैथ में, और एलोपैथ जीवन में हमेशा से, तब से वो पैदा हुई है तब से कैनबिस का विरोध करती है, और इसी विरोध के कारण हम परेशान रहे। अब इनको कैनबिस में प्रॉफिट दिखने लगा, इनको सिंथेटिक कैनबिस कैनाबिनॉइड समझ में आने लगे, तो एलोपैथ में आ गया वो, और वो आ जाएगा धीरे से। हमारे यहाँ तो बंद है, कुछ समय के बाद ये हालत हो जाएगी कि उस रेट पे हम बना ही नहीं पाएंगे, तो बिजनेस खड़ा ही नहीं होगा। ये गहरी व्यवस्थाएं हैं जिनको समझना जरूरी है। और हमको काम, ठीक है, जो हम कर रहे हैं उनकी भी सुनना, अपनी भी सुनना, सुनाना जरूरी है। अगर चैलेंजेस नहीं करेंगे तो जगह नहीं मिलेगी बैठ खड़े होने। हमारे साथ दिक्कत सबसे बड़ी ये आती है कि 1961 का कन्वेंशन हुआ, करोड़ों लोग मार दिए गए, सिर्फ 50 ग्राम भांग रखने के लिए। यूएस ने अपने यहाँ के लोगों को छोड़ दिया, हमारे यहाँ लोग अब भी मर, बहुत बेचारे, बहुत सारी जवानियां खराब हुई। और बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको भांग की दवाई की आयुर्वेद में वो दवाइयां उपलब्ध हैं। आयुष की फार्माकोपिया उसको बोलती है कि आप इसका सेवन करें, आप ठीक होंगे। इसके बाद भी हम दवा नहीं बना, कौन सी मानसिक गुलामी, कब निकलेंगे? बस पवन जी इतना ही कहना था, आगे आपको क्वेश्चन।
मेरा तो एक सचिन जी और सबसे बड़ा दिमाग में बार बार घूमता है, जितनी ये सरकारी भांग की दुकानें हैं या इंडस्ट्री हैं, वो पूरा पानी जिसमें 20% से ज्यादा टीडीएस है उसको नाली में फेंक दे रही है। इंसान केवल भोगदा भोगदा खा के मस्त है। वो जो हमारा शोधन कहा गया है वो और कुछ नहीं है, ज्यादा उसकी क्वांटिटी को एल्कलॉइड की निकाल देना और सीबीडी ऑयल पानी में बॉईल करके निकाल देना, खत्म। उसका यदि घन बनाया जाए तो फ्री में। मैंने कल आज उज्जैन में सुबह बात की, वो कहते हैं आप ड्रम ले आओ हम ड्रम भर देंगे। कैसे ले जाओगे वो आप जानो, हम तो फ्री में फेंक देते हैं वो पानी, कुंटल के कुंटल, गैलन के गैलन, और उसमें पूरा एक्सट्रैक्ट है, दैट इज एक्चुअल कैनबिस एक्सट्रैक्ट। Cannabis extract is not that what people are eating on bhang shop. That is residual material. क्या कहते हैं सचिन जी?
बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं बड़ी जी, इतने मिथ्स हैं, इतने मिथ्स हैं। सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है कि आयुर्वेद में भी ये हो रहा है, और सिर्फ भांग में नहीं हो रहा, सब जगह हो रहा है। जैसे अश्वगंधा को या कोई भी औषधि को घोटना, तो हम उसको पीसते हैं। आजकल आ गए ग्राइंडर, वो पीसते नहीं है, वो काटते हैं, चॉप करते हैं, पतला पतला, और उस चॉप को फिर हम यूज करते हैं। तो जब प्रॉपर अल्कलॉइड्स उसमें मिक्स नहीं होंगे, जब प्रॉपर उसका शोधन नहीं होगा, तो वो आयुर्वेद थोड़ी बनेगा। वो तो आप सब्जी खा रहे हो किसी भी चीज की। तो ये जो जीएमपी के नियम आ गए हैं, ठीक है, अच्छे हैं, सब ठीक है, पर हमारा जो पुराना तरीका है वो तरीका भी कुछ जगहों तो जिंदा रखो। आज नहीं तो कल ये स्थिति निर्मित होगी कि हम वो पुराना भूल गए, नए में रिजल्ट नहीं मिल रहे। तो कुछ जगह तो जिंदा रहो, वो भी नहीं हो रहा। शास्त्रोक्त औषधि के लिए शास्त्रोक्त पद्धति से दवा बन जाए, ये तो सपना सा हो गया। तो अब यही भांग के साथ हो रहा है। भांग पे अंग्रेज जितना जानते हैं उतना हमारे यहाँ का पनवाड़ी जानता है। आप बनारस चले जाओ, आप उज्जैन चले जाओ, आपको भांग के इतने व्यंजन, रिक्रिएशनल पर्पस की बात कर रहे हैं, जिसका मार्केट बहुत भयंकर है आज के समय में यूएस में। हमसे ज्यादा रिक्रिएशनल पर्पस के लिए व्यंजन बनाने वाला कोई दूसरा देश हो ही नहीं सकता। हमारे यहाँ के लोगों के समान पीसने का, बांटने का तरीका और उसके हेल्थ इफेक्ट किसी को नहीं मालूम है। हमारे यहाँ गांव में मालूम है लोगों को। सौंफ के साथ पीसोगे तो क्या होगा, शिलाजीत के साथ पीसोगे तो क्या होगा। नॉलेज एक पीढ़ी बची है, आखिरी बचा लेंगे तो बच जाएगा। ये पीढ़ी निकल गई तो किसी को नहीं मालूम। और जितने जेंजीज हैं ये कोरिया और अमेरिका के चक्कर में, तो एक बहुत बड़ा नेशनल नॉलेज का लॉस है। हमको हम तुरंत नहीं जीते। आप पंडित जी जो पीएचडी कर रहे हो, मैं तो धन्य हूं कि आप कर रहे हो। ऐसे हमको 1000 लोग चाहिए। प्रबोधन आयुर्वेद के विषयों पे भी पीएचडी कितने लोग कर रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं हो रहा। तो अब क्या करें, कैसे समझाएं। पीएम बोल चुके लाल किले से कि हमें अपनी मानसिक गुलामी छोड़ना चाहिए। पीएम छोड़ सकते हैं, पवन जी छोड़ सकते हैं, हम छोड़ सकते हैं, पर उनको कैसे समझाएं जो मैकाले की उन पना से निकले हैं जिसमें भारतीय ज्ञान को शून्य माना गया। हम उनको कैसे समझाएं जो मसूरी के इंस्टीट्यूट में अंग्रेजों के पढ़ाए सिलेबस से पढ़ा रहे हैं। सबसे पहला सिलेबस तो वहां से गड़बड़ा है। कोई भी चीज अगर फ्रांस में सरकार ने खाने के लिए ओके कर दी है, नहीं भैया इतना ये चीज डाली जा सकती है, तो हिंदुस्तान में फसाई को वो मानना पड़ेगा। ऑस्ट्रेलिया में कर दी तो मानना पड़ेगा, क्यों? क्योंकि नहीं में कर दी तो मानना पड़ेगा, न्यूजीलैंड में कर दी तो मानना पड़ेगा, क्यों? क्योंकि वो कॉमनवेल्थ के देश। अरे भैया कॉमनवेल्थ वाले ठंडे प्रदेशों के लोग हैं, हम लोग दूसरे तरह के लोग हैं। हमारे यहाँ 6 तरीके के क्लाइमेट है। हमारे यहाँ हर राज्य का भोजन, खाना पीना, रहना उठना बैठना सब अलग है, और वो उनकी जलवायु के हिसाब से, उनके आयुर्वेद के हिसाब से, उनके स्वास्थ्य के हिसाब से डिजाइन है। आप उसको तोड़ के ऑस्ट्रेलिया और न्यूजीलैंड के ठंडे प्रदेशों का हिसाब लेके आते हो। हम साउथ में वेस्टर्न साइंस कहता है कि हर आदमी की बॉडी की टॉलरेंस अलग होती है। ये तो कॉन्टिनेंट बदल देते हैं उनको, उसके बाद भी मानते हैं कि सबकी एक सी होती है। बिजनेस है, चला रहे हैं। ये पंडित जी बड़ा दुख है इन बातों का।
इसकी कोई तरीका गुरुदेव आप ही गाइड कर सकते हैं। आपने जीवन भर राजस्थान में देखा है, अभी भी राजस्थान में तो चालू है मेरे हिसाब से। गुरुदेव कोई रास्ता बताइए, ये बड़ी विसंगतिपूर्ण रास्ता है। आदरणीय लक्ष्मीकांत द्विवेदी सर, गुरुदेव हैं, जय हो।
हाँ जी,
इस पे
नमस्कार।
इस तरह हमें गाइड।
एक्चुअल में तो प्रश्न जो है वो स्पष्ट समझ नहीं आया कि हम लोग विजया के साथ में क्या करना चाहते हैं। जहाँ तक औषधि उपयोग की बात है, जिसको आप रेजिड्यूल कह रहे हैं, उसी में पर्याप्त गुण मिल जाते हैं, तो विष द्रव्यों का शोधन का महत्व है। और जिस चीज को आप इकट्ठा करके काम में लेना चाहते हैं, कंपेरेटिव स्टडी कर लें कि साहब उन लोगों ने क्यों इतना पानी उबाल करके धो करके फेंक दिया, और उसके बाद भी जो है विजया में मादकता है, और अति प्रयोग करने के बाद में उसका मात्रा बढ़ती है लंबे समय तक प्रयोग करने से। ऐसे हमने देखे हैं जो दिन में 2 बार भांग का उपयोग करते हैं, किंतु शोधन करना नहीं बोलते, वो सीधा रॉ मटेरियल नहीं लेते, शोधन करने के बाद ही उसका उपयोग करते हैं। इस शोधन शब्द में विभिन्न द्रव्य भी हैं, उनकी इफिकेसी का भी अंतर आएगा। बबूल के क्वाथ से प्रोसेस करना या और भी द्रव्य हैं, तो वन वर्ड में ये सब क्या निकल जाता है हेम्प का, क्या रह जाता है, किंतु जो रह जाता है वो एडिक्शन को कम करने में मदद करता है। और फिर ट्रेडिशनली भी शादी ब्याह में जब माजून वगैरह देते हैं, तो उनको भी हमको ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि साहब हम जैसे अफीम के लिए रियान वगैरह का क्रम है, तो सरकार तो उसको रोकती ही है आज भी एनडीपीएस में, और हम लोग उसको सामाजिक एक रिवाज के रूप में हम काम में भी लेते हैं। तो गम में और उत्साह में दोनों में इसका उपयोग होता आया है, उसको भी देखेंगे। इतना ही कह के कि साहब गांजा भी जो है, फ्लावर जो है मंजरी, वो चिकित्सा में उपयोग है। कुछ फॉर्मुलेशंस हैं शास्त्र में, शेड्यूल बुक अब तो काफी बढ़ गई है, तो सर्वे करेंगे तो हमको 8-10 फॉर्मुलेशंस तो कम से कम मिल ही जाएंगे जिनमें गांजा का उपयोग होता है। इतना ही कह के मैं धन्यवाद दूंगा सभी विद्वानों को कि हमने चर्चा की, किंतु ये तो मानना पड़ेगा कि
इसको हर
मादक
स्टेट
द्रव्य है।
में, सर हर स्टेट में रेगुलराइज करने का इसका क्या वो तरीका है?
तरीका तो वही है, जब एमपी में है तो दूसरी जगह होने में बुरा क्या है, किंतु ये
हाँ,
इन्फोर्समेंट का मामला है। रूल्स तो बनाने वाले बनाते हैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जो है वो उनको लागू करती है। तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के लेवल पे इसमें विभिन्न विचारधारा है, और उसके आधार पे वो कमेंट्स दे करके और कमेंट्री के आधार पे काम करते
सचिन जी कुछ बोलेंगे? चलिए समय भी बहुत हो गया है, हम अगले
ना
वीक
पंडित जी, आज आज आज
हैं?
बहुत रात हो गई, आज बहुत रात हो गई।
आप
मैं
तो सबसे ज्यादा
ऋषिकेश में हूँ आज।
मतलब इसके लिए समय नष्ट
क्या करें, कोशिश कर रहे हैं, ईश्वर चाहेगा तो हो जाएगा।
की आवाज नहीं
ठीक
आ
है,
रही है।
शुभ रात्रि।
हाँ सर, शुभ
शुभ
रात्रि, शुभ
रात्रि,
रात्रि,
नमस्कार।
नमस्कार, शुभ रात्रि सर, गुड नाइट, गुड नाइट।